Okay, this is another circuit that's very handy to have, and what it is a power off time delay circuit. For instance, say you wanted to have your dome light in your car go out a certain time frame after you take the key out of the ignition and you get out of your car at night. Alright, so this would be an ideal circuit for that. How it works, you would connect this to the power coming in, 12 volt battery. So say the switch went to the light, the switch going to the light, or whatever else you want to control, goes to this point right here. Alright? Now as long as this switch is on, this circuit will always be on. Current flows through the diode, which is just a 4001, alright? And it goes into a capacitor which goes to ground. Basically what you're doing is you're charging this capacitor, and you're holding the charge here, not allowing it to go backwards towards the car battery or towards another circuit. Alright, so it stays there, and it slowly bleeds through a resistor into the base of a transistor, which could be a 2N3904 or a 2N2222. And you could probably use others too, you just got to try them out. And what you do is you take the emitter and you go to ground, you take the collector and you connect it to a relay with a back EMF diode, which is probably, just use a 4007. That side goes to the plus. So you're going to take power from the battery, which is always on. Alright, you're taking power that's always on, coming into the relay coil, through the back EMF diode, into the collector, and emitter to ground. This is the type of relay. Now, you could put this whole circuit together just from an old TV set or an old VCR. This is all you need right here. I use a 12 volt because I plan on using this for 12 volts, but you can use a 5 volt relay, you can use a 9, whatever you want to use, you use. So I use that, and this capacitor, electrolytic, 25 volt, 3300 UF. There's the diode, that's the transistor, which is just a 2N3904, and that's a 47K. With these components I use right here, this is the time I get, alright? 3300 UF capacitor along with a 47K yields 6 minutes. Now if you use a little lower value resistor, you're going to get 4.5 minutes out of it, a 27K. You go a little lower down to a 10, you might get like 3.5. But you have to realize there's several factors here which determine how long the circuit will run. A higher value on the capacitor will give you a longer runtime before the relay disconnects. And a higher value on this will give you a little longer time also. This is the primary factor for how long it's going to stay on and off, and this one is a secondary. You can go, this one changes it, but not as much as the capacitor does. So this is pretty much what you got to do. You can play around with the values, and that's based on this load. This doesn't draw more than maybe 30-35 milliamps to trigger this, and this will control 5 amps of current. So if you use a bigger relay which draws more current, this time is going to change. It's going to be lower. And that's the circuit. It works really good, and it has a lot of uses. You can have like a touch circuit with a transistor right here that you can touch like a high gain Darlington that will trigger this circuit and turn something on, maybe a light or a motor appliance, and in this time frame it'll shut off.